Online approaching the Lego Ultra this week for the Lego CHAIRQUISITION. It is Lego Minifigures Online, developed by FunCom on the Dreamworld engine. You can pick it up for in or around $30, depending on your various regional currency. And what is it? Play online with thousands of players from all over the world, or just team up with your closest friends if you can figure out the matchmaking system. Linux Lego Minifigures Online, which is full of cross-platform multiplayer, allowing gamers in PC, Linux, iOS, and Android to play together in the same persistent online world. And of course, like all games that approach the altar, it must experience the CHAIRQUISITION. 1 chair means that it's crap, 2 chairs means that's meh, 3 chairs means that's pretty good, and 4 chairs doesn't actually show up in this review, so we're not going to have that one queued up anymore. We also have our categories: Oh Doom, makes with the working shiny sounds, controls, and fun. So let's kick this off then. Did Lego Minifigures Online and Leno Minifigures Online.
Leno Minifigures Online, brother Sphinx.
They all have massive chins.
How did it work on the Ubuntu 1404 LTS 980 powered 4K displayed octo-core box of business? Well, let's just say this. It launches without sound on Ubuntu if you're using Steam, but we'll get into those details a bit later. And yes, this is 2015, where a game is released for Linux on Steam, and sound doesn't work, and the first response from the, what would you call them, the community manager, was to run it on wine. I shit you not.
Oh yeah, that was brilliant. We only support Ubuntu, but if you can't get it working.
It gets worse, because we do have spike crashes, and I've had a few. And unfortunately, these spike crashes are of the fuck you because that's why sort, because I know the rest of the team here, when we have a crash with a game, we immediately try to reproduce that business so we can say, okay, this crashes when you do X. This thing crashes because fuck you, that's why. That's it. That's the only explanation it will ever give you. It is non-reproducible. So it works. It launches, it runs, and that's what I'll give it, is 2 chairs. No more than that, son.
So I first downloaded this game. I saw Pedro's bit about it just not having a chat over G-Talk, and they were talking about how this thing just does not work through Steam. So I figured I'll just download it and run it from command line. No, I get a seg fault. And after some investigation and Pedro's suggestion was I needed to replace my libudev.so.0 in the game folder with libudev.so.1 because that's something that really needs to be sorted out in 2015. Mm-hmm. And like Ben says, this thing just crashes because it feels like it. You're just signing in, oh, it crashes. Selecting character, oh, it crashes. Oh, you're in the middle of a fight, nope, crashes. Sucks. 2 chairs.
Yeah, crash a little fucker, innit? On the Corora 21 powered Amiga, with the FX 8370E overclocked at 4 GHz and the GTX 970 Strix, it launched. It didn't have any sound, and I started looking as to why it didn't have sound, and I went to the Steam forums, and I think it was Lapino, like Chatrel member Lapino, actually went to the Steam forums and said, oh, if you launch it from the directory, it actually has sound. So I launch it from the directory, I get in game, I start to hear something, and the game crashes. Right then and there. And I sent an email to the guys at FunCom and like, yeah, this is broken with
Pedro,
the Steam runtime.
I believe you had to explain to them how to get it to launch their product on Steam.
Steam runtime?
Yeah, so I told them, with the Steam runtime enabled, your game has no sound. And they're like, we only support SteamOS. The Steam runtime is a set of libraries that SteamOS is currently running to ensure that all games run regardless of which distro it is. And they're like, oh, yeah, we didn't know about that, so we've added that information to the bug report.
But didn't they have another issue deploying it to Linux initially?
Oh, yeah. Initially, there was a problem, just like
Z-byte download.
Some games, 0-byte download. I actually told them you have to set the release flag on the Linux depot for people to be able to download it through Linux. And they're like, give us a few minutes. We'll get back to you. Oh, yeah, it was that. You should be able to download it now. Oh, little shitheads. So, 2 chairs.
Wow, 2 chairs for makes with the working. That's not a good start. This is usually the easy category. Up next, Shiny and Sounds.
All right, let's keep this nightmare train rolling. It looks a bit of all right, even with the everything set on yellow swag. I bleed 9,000. The levels are well done. They're full of colors, but they're so full of colors that you will beg Flying Spaghetti Monster to strike you with the color blindness eventually. I mean, it's just going to happen. Let's be honest with ourselves. And, you know, what I'm about to say next, I was saying this during our players of this game, and if you're one of our Patreons, you'll be able to just head over to Patreon after the show and watch it. I mean, it's there for that, but the voice acting sounds like they walked around the office and said, you, and you. Here, come here, record some things for us. Yeah, it's that bad. It
Reaganomics!
But at the end of the day, I can't really shit all over it. I want to, but I can't, because, you know, this is a game built for an arch user, 3+?
5-year-old?
Yeah, 5-year-old. I installed Arch. I know all about Linux, bro. It really gels with what I would assume a younger person would enjoy. I mean, it's not fugly. There's a couple of... That's one thing I'm definitely going to ding at a chair for with the monkeys, and I'm not being racist. Well, I've killed them several times, and that's also not racist. They fly up into the air, and there's a web, like a spider nope, because they just nope up into the air, because that's what monkeys do, and the other characters just kind of disappear. Then you mix that in with a couple of the GL white pixely things that we all have come to love and kind of hate. Not bad. We'll give it 3 chairs. I might be being a bit generous, but I'm trying to look at this through the eyes of a child.
The man-child that you are.
Through the eyes of a child. Yeah. Yeah, South Park reference. That's always a good way to start off the review. So, I mean, just graphically on its own merit, I would probably give it 3 chairs. I mean, it looks about as good as you could make a Lego game look. You have to have the Lego bricks. You have to have the Lego minifigures. That's not going to translate to mind-blowing graphics, but at least it's done competently.
I mean, you got to admit, like, right when you first start and you notice how it does that defocus thing, I was like, oh, this is Unity. Then I noticed that. I was like, oh, that's not Unity. Unity can't do that.
Nope.
Yeah. No, but what it really deserves chairs taken off for is the voice acting. Oh my god, the voice acting is terrible. I don't even think they got developers. I think they just went to coffee shops. Hey, you have an interesting voice. Come record some shit.
Did you get that first character? It was like, hey, dude, I'm a gamer, dude.
No. And the worst part is, there are several segments in the game where you are forced to listen to this voice acting. Like, you cannot skip through the dialogue or just get the text version, read it, and move on with your life. No, you have to sit there and listen to it for like 2-3 minutes at a time. Ben can confirm. I was just screaming when this happened. I don't care! Shut up! Shut up! Yeah, that is really enough to ding it a chair. So I will give it 2 just because it subjected me to that horribleness.
Yeah, it looks alright, but like both Ben and Jordan already mentioned, you'd have to fuck up real good to make a Lego game look bad. But actually, the music is fitting for the general theme and the atmosphere that they're trying to create in each of the areas, keeping in mind that, again, this is a game meant for children. The voice acting, like has been mentioned before, on many of the characters makes me want to take a screwdriver and shove it into my ear canal because I can't deal with it. The narrator is alright, which is why I kinda don't mind that you can't skip cutscenes where the narrator is talking. The narrator is good, and he's actually got some pretty funny lines when you progress a little further into the game past the pirate area. And there's a lot of humor that goes into it. Good on them for that. So for me, it gets 3 chairs for Shiny and Sounds.
All right, so that's 2 chairs for Shiny and Sounds. Up next is Control. Then, how did that work out for you?
The Control. Well, you know, as with most Linux titles, I reach over and I go like that, and maybe I'll come over here and be like, "Oh, how you doing? You like that? Huh? 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 Who's your guy in a wizard robe?" And it moved, so I was like, okay, fair enough. I'm going to play this entire thing with the X-Clone controller, and it worked. I was kind of amazed by that, completely out of the box, and this is very important.
SDL2, baby!
Especially if you're a parent organ, because you see, the controller has this auto-aim movement feature.
Yep.
This is extremely important, because if you're playing this with your children and all that, little Timmy will never know that you're just holding down the A button while watching L.G.C. You could just tape that down, and the guy will hit and run to the next target, hit, run to the next target, follow. I mean, I did that for about 9 minutes during our plays, just to, it's like, yep, I don't even have to move. I was playing the game by doing this, just holding the business down. But it does lose a chair. I mean, even with that awesome X-Clone controller, I mean, no issues there, because you will get stuck in the terrain. Pedro was like, oh, sometimes you get stuck in the terrain. And me and Jordan almost experienced it at the same time. Like, shit, can't move. Then you got to reach over and grab your gerbil organ, which, takes you away from the awesomeness that is like, whatever online MMO. And just click on the terrain, then it moves. I mean, that's just an actual thing. But outside of that, it's going to lose a chair. But I'll give it 3 chairs because it just worked. Everything was mapped correctly. And more importantly, what was mapped on the screen was mapped to the X-Clone controller.
See, I didn't even bother with the Xbox controller because it's an MMO. I figure, it's an MMO. I'll play it with a keyboard and mouse. As the good Lord Jesus intended when he stood up and fought all those ninjas. He said, don't play MMOs with a controller, you'll get killed. So I was playing with keyboard and mouse. The thing actually controls a lot like Victor ran. Pedro, I think you originally compared it to Torchlight, but you do have the standard Wazzat controls, and the bindings are sane. They make sense for just your standard run-of-the-mill MMO. You will get stuck, though, on the terrain, and the way to fix that is you click, and you'll eventually walk away. There's nothing really mind-blowing here. The mechanic is you can have a party of like 3 minifigures, each with different abilities, and you rotate using space, and that refreshes your hit points and gives you a couple extra moves. So, I mean, all said and done, I think it's worth 3 chairs for the controls.
Yep. And this here is an NVIDIA Shield controller.
Really? I thought it was a sandwich.
Yeah, it still doesn't work all that well with Linux. The touch bits, namely these buttons around here, this is a touch area, and the touchpad down here doesn't work so well. But this is not this game's fault. This game actually recognized the NVIDIA Shield controller out of the box. It's probably the first one to do that. Good on them for that. But, like both Ben and Jordan already said, your character likes to get stuck on terrain, especially when going down those winding little roads in the way. It will get stuck. It's inevitable. So for that, I have to ding it 1 chairs. Ding it 1 chair, give it 3 chairs. That's the one.
All right, so that's 3 chairs for controls.
English.
Not too shabby. And finally, our subjective category, fun. Ben, did you have fun?
Brother Svang, I actually failed I failed all of you. My original plan, I was going to kidnap a kid to test this game, but I had to decide against it because kids. You'd
have to touch one, and that's just nasty.
I'd make a horrible pedophile. I'm saying MMO. Let's check out the definition on Brad when it comes to MMO: a multiplayer video game which is capable of supporting large numbers of players simultaneously. All right. That's all you will get, Brad. No groups, guilds, anything like that. I mean, in its wholeness, this is a bunch of people playing around doing separate things. You do get a buddy list that does fuck and all to help track down your friends. This is, I mean, what did it take us? 15 minutes to sort this business? And that's only...
That was half the video we recorded.
The only reason we were able to pull that off because we were at such low levels and we were kind of roughly in the same area. But more importantly, what you got to remember is FunCom tried to launch this game late last year as a pay-to-win It was completely free with microtransactions on Windows, and it was met with a resounding, "Where's the popcorn? I mean, this is fucking boring. No one wants it." And they didn't. But I guess we need to say at the same time, you know, they've taken out the microtransactions, but they've added a fucking hefty price tag on Brad. 29.99 wet stinky caches. And that should tell you something. I mean, the largest problem with this game, if we were just talking about the game itself outside of all the fuckery I just talked about, is the game's difficulty. 90% of the time, you just, whatever. Oh, there's somebody I'm fighting. A button, like I said, just hold it down. No problem. You're not going to get killed to death. You'll never run into that issue, except on those rare times. Even Pedro was like, "Holy shit, how many hit points does this guy have?" Because you will run into a boss or a mini-boss. Actually, it was a mini-boss on this occasion.
Yeah.
Where, like, shit, we have to resort to ranged attacks. And
it was like 250,000 hit points or something
right.
like that.
And it was like, what are you trying to teach kids here? They're going to be smart enough to fucking figure out, I don't have to worry about anything. Then you hit this one random person. It's not even the big boss. If you watch a player's video of it, I just got bored and just stood in front of the guy and just started hitting. And, you know, that's definitely a big thing with those turbo hit points. When you run into that, then you have to learn, you know, Pedro's like, "Why am I getting killed to death?" And then, like, Jordan and I were like, "Ranged attack, bitches." And we're kind of off to the side.
Throw those pizzas.
It kind of wants to have a, you know, since you can't do the microtransactions to buy everything, it drops Lego pieces here and there and all that business. And, you know, I guess don't care about that. Let's talk about the upgrade path. Let's talk about that. That is straighter than Donald Trump. Okay?
So loopy?
It is more linear with a worse fucking hairdo than Donald Trump. I'm not kidding. I was like, maybe I should purchase this as part of my upgrade and spend the magic internet monies on this thing. It just says, here, you buy this now, you buy this now. And the way it branches out. Like, but man, this is made for 5-year-olds. I was like, 5-year-olds might want to have a little bit of like, maybe I should purchase this versus purchase this. Or column A, column B. It's not going to be provided in that. But, the hydrogen bomb that is about that 29.99 wet stinky caches that you're thinking about, maybe I want to pick this up for my kid, maybe I want to pick it up for myself. You don't. You're not going to have any fun with it, but maybe you want to pick it up for your kid. You need to think really fucking hard. Because these servers, if they last 1 more year, I'll be shocked. 2 more years, they're going to be gone. I mean, that is just, it's FunCom. That's what they do. That's how they roll. So, unfortunately, I was not able to kidnap a kid because I hate children. And the reality is, as a man-child, in all the things I just pointed out, I'm going to give this one chair because I made it believe it's completely busted.
Yeah, clearly this is a children's game. It can't be too challenging because 5-year-olds need to consistently win. But then you go back maybe 10, 20 years ago, the games you had targeted at kids were what? Super Mario, Contra, Zelda.
Oh, good.
Not exactly easy, and kids still played them. And they played the shit out of them. This is a product that does not scale with your audience because they're gonna outgrow it in a couple months. They're probably gonna get bored of it and never touch it again, which I suppose is great for the business model, but doesn't really give you a special place in people's hearts when they want to buy your games in the future. The combat is fairly one-dimensional. You just sort of sit in the corner and throw your attacks. I mean, there was some opportunity for innovation because they have the Final Fantasy 13 party mechanic where you can swap out your character's abilities in mid-fight to better suit your current scenario. But it doesn't really go anywhere with it. You're gonna have a builder, you're gonna have a ranged guy, and you're gonna have a melee guy, and that's really it. Like Ben said, the upgrade path is literally just more. Maybe you'll get an additional move every once in a while, but for the most part, it's just more damage, more hit points.
It was built to make people spend money.
Yeah, it's the upgrade system is fairly one-dimensional, and the biggest crime for being a Lego game, there is no building. There are spots where you can go and click on an item and it will automatically assemble itself. But where is the fun in that? This is supposed to be a Lego game. What do you do when you play with Legos? You build shit. That is inexcusable. That is worth 1 share.
Add constructs.
Yeah. So I'm going to be perhaps the most lenient one with this game and say that this is literally the console version of Diablo 3. It is the console version of Diablo 3 with a Lego makeover. Maybe it's slightly toned down on the difficulty, but even that I can't say for sure since I haven't played Diablo 3 since the beta. The combat it's Diablo, it's Torchlight, whatever you want to call it. That's it. The upgrade progression, it's exactly like Diablo 3. It's a straight fucking line. There is no deviation. There is nothing. That's the way you're gonna go. That's the way you're gonna go, period. The quests, pretty linear. The way that the instance dungeons are handled, very linear, exactly like Diablo 3. The way that those very same instances are denoted on the game screen, it's got like that orange or purple glow coming out of it. That's the exact same way that Diablo 3 does them. And even the way that the multiplayer bits work, the way you party up with other people, it's very, 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 very similar. I can recognize a competent game regardless of whether or not I enjoy playing it. I wasn't originally in the notes. I said that I was probably not going to keep playing this game, but today I played a little bit more of it, and I got to a really interesting part at the end of the medieval area, which is like an hour or 2 into the game, and it's really interesting. It's kind of got me hooked. So I will probably keep playing this game, and I can tell you, if you have kids and you want a game that you can safely play with them to, keep it PG and everything else,
Honey Pop.
this is actually
I'm a 9-year-old boy.
the game. This is actually the game you're looking for, except, like Van and Jordan already said, it's $30. And besides that, the other downside, even outside of the terrible voice acting, is that in order to unlock more minifigures without having to grind the dungeons in order to get more pieces to build the minifigures, you'll have to buy those $5 blind bags that come with a minifigure and a little code. And that is going to have your kids harassing you constantly to get them more and more blind bags. But for me, and as far as I've played, it's worth 3 chairs for the fun.
Oh man, Pedro, you went so long, it killed my bandwidth.
But let's talk about if we got any
that's
final thoughts about this business. I'm going to say
we got 1 chair for the totals for
total
fun
for
and
fun.
2 chairs for final.
2 chairs for final, and what does that mean? Categories? Not
Meh.
sure if one, and let's actually do this. This is not the Lego that you're thinking. Apparently there have been brilliant Lego games made, like Lego Star Wars,
Lego Batman,
Lego General Custard, stuff like that.
Lego Custer's Revenge. Right?
Yes, Lego Custard's Revenge. Yes, I forget that one. It's one of the classics from the Lego community. And this is not it. I mean, there's attempts at humor. It's not good. And this is coming from 3 people that attempt to make people laugh poorly on a weekly basis. But yeah, the writing's pretty much shit. And at that price tag, $29.99 for something that's an MMO. Supposedly it's an MMO. I mean, you can play with other people, but there's no way to form groups or anything like that. I don't think Little Timmy is going to have the best of times. Anybody else?
I see what you did there.
It's for $30, and they still haven't figured out the Steam runtime and how often it crashes, and all
Pedro,
the other
better
issues.
yet, they haven't even updated it yet.
Yeah. I'd say hold off. Get it like 75% off, 80% off during one of the sales.
When the servers
It's probably-
go offline.
No, I mean, there's the
But there's something you absolutely have
autumn
to.
sale.
We do need to address this, because once the servers go offline, even though you can play this perfectly single player without an issue, it won't work.
Yep, no,
Yeah,
it's
probably,
online
yeah.
only. And again, biggest crime for a Lego game, you can't actually build anything. That is just outright inexcusable. So that's 2 chairs final for Lego Minifigures Online.